Imagine this. At the end of every summer, students of Oxford University return to campus, gearing up for a new academic year. But, unlike the scholars of today, these students don traditional Islamic attire, and the echoing chants in their classrooms are verses from the Quran. It might sound like a plot from a fantasy novel, but the historian Edward Gibbon once remarked, if the Frankish army under Charles had failed at the Battle of Tours, the Oxford students today would be studying the Quran. This isn't merely a historical what if, but a profound reflection on those pivotal battles that altered the course of world history. Let's travel back to that decisive year of 732 and delve into the significant impact the Battle of Tours had on Europe and the broader arc of world history. In 610 AD, the city of Mecca witnessed a significant historical pivot. Muhammad founded Islam. In the few decades that followed, he and his successors successfully unified the fragmented Arabian tribes under the guidance of Islam. Empowered by this unification and driven by a zeal for holy war, they embarked on an unprecedented expansion. By 711 AD, Arab warriors had conquered Carthage in North Africa and Morocco. Just 2 years later, the Visigothic kingdom in Spain was vanquished, and the entirety of the Iberian Peninsula fell under the Arab Empire's dominion. This empire now spanned 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, establishing itself as a superpower of that era. However, the ambitions of the Arabs did not end there. The Caliph in Damascus set his sights on Byzantium, dreaming of unifying the entire Christian world under his rule. But in the siege of Constantinople in 717, they encountered a unique Byzantine weapon, the Greek fire, which forced the Arab forces to retreat. To achieve their objective, the Arabs decided to launch their campaign from Spain, aiming first at the Frankish territories, and then using that as a springboard to assault Constantinople. By 731, the Arab warriors were on the move again. The governor in Spain, Abdul Rahman, led tens of thousands of troops over the Pyrenees, marching northwards with their sights set on the Frankish kingdom. At this point in history, the Frankish kingdom was known as the Merovingian dynasty, established in 481 by the Frankish leader, Clovis. However, by this time, most of the kingdom's power was held by the mayor of the palace, Charles Martel. The Frankish kings had become mere puppet rulers with no real duties or authority. Charles Martel was an exceptional military and political leader. He was the first to abolish the unconditional tradition of granting lands and introduced the system of benefices. This was a conditional land tenure system where nobles who received such lands, benefices, were obligated to provide cavalry equipped with their own weapons and horses for their lord. This system established a vassal-lord relationship between the two. The lord had a duty to protect his vassals, while the vassals swore allegiance to serve their lord, always ready to go to battle upon his call. This system of benefices spread rapidly throughout Europe and became the foundation for the feudal system, which lasted for a millennium during the Middle Ages. The introduction of this system provided Charles Martel with a powerful military force. With this might, he swiftly quelled internal rebellions and threats of foreign invasions, firmly consolidating his control over the Frankish kingdom. However, in the old Gallic region south of Orleans, the culture, systems, and customs were more aligned with those of the ancient Roman era, laying the groundwork for potential divisions within the Frankish kingdom. While Charles Martel was on a campaign in Bavaria, Duke Odo of Aquitaine unified a vast area in southern France, including Aquitaine, essentially establishing an independent governance system separate from the Frankish rule. There was an underlying tension suggesting a potential rivalry between Duke Odo and Charles Martel. It was this fragmented situation that gave the Arabs hope for a swift conquest of the Frankish kingdom. When the Arabs crossed the Pyrenees, they first entered the region of Aquitaine ruled by Duke Odo. Given that Odo had defeated Charles Martel's forces several times and had previously beaten the Arab army in the Battle of Toulouse, he initially didn't see Abdur Rahman's troops as a significant threat. However, upon their first encounter, Odo was soundly defeated, suffering catastrophic losses. Left with no choice, Duke Odo had to submit to his former rival, Charles Martel. Abdur Rahman continued his march northward, targeting the renowned St. Martin Monastery in the Frankish kingdom. His intention was to loot its wealth and, in doing so, strike a blow to the morale and prestige of the Franks and Christianity itself. Charles Martel led his troops southward to confront the Arab forces. However, instead of launching an immediate attack, he patiently waited for the right moment. He dispatched small cavalry units to constantly harass the Arabs, numbing them to his tactics, and sent a cavalry detachment behind the Arab lines to sever their supply chain. Abdur-Rahman, alarmed by this, ordered a retreat. But, during their northward journey, the Arab army amassed a great deal of loot, severely hampering their mobility. As the Arab forces neared Tours, the stage was set for a decisive showdown. Due to their reliance on light cavalry, the Arabs excelled in rapid advances and retreats but were not well versed in positional warfare. Thus, when confronted in a standoff outside a city, they inherently faced a disadvantage. The Arab cavalry repeatedly charged the Frankish square formations but consistently fell under the Franks' arrows and long spears. The two armies fought fiercely throughout the day, with the Arabs gaining no advantage. As dusk approached, Duke Odo maneuvered to the flank of the Arab army and launched a surprise attack on Abdur-Rahman's camp. The Arab soldiers, who were engaged with Charles Martel's forces, quickly regrouped to aid their camp. By the time they returned, they found that Odo's troops had already occupied their camp and their leader, Abdur-Rahman, had been killed in the fray. Witnessing their dire situation, the Arab soldiers scattered and fled, marking the end of the Battle of Tours. In the entire Battle of Tours, the Franks lost just over 1,500 men, while the Arabs suffered tens of thousands of casualties. The reasons for the outcome can be attributed to the Arabs undertaking a lengthy campaign, stretching their supply lines, which provided the Franks with opportunities. On the other hand, the Arabs had looted too many valuables, which slowed down their march and retreat, preventing them from leveraging the mobility advantage of their light cavalry. The Battle of Tours was a decisive conflict determining the fate of the European Christian and Arab Islamic civilizations, leaving profound implications for the political landscape of Europe. This campaign marked the end of the Arab Empire's external expansions. The Arabs, after their bitter defeat, never had the capability to invade the Western civilized world again, safeguarding the existence and development of Christian civilization. The victory at Tours also thwarted the Arab military strategy of using Central Europe as a springboard to simultaneously assault the Byzantine Empire from both sides, ensuring the Byzantine Empire's continued existence for over 7 more centuries. For the Frankish kingdom, the victory in this battle earned Charles Martel the moniker, Charles the Hammer, elevating his prestige to unprecedented heights. This paved the way for his son, Pepin the Short, to be crowned king and establish the Carolingian dynasty. However, Charles Martel and his descendants could never cross the Pyrenees to expel the Arabs from Europe entirely. It was not until the signing of the Treaty of Granada in 1491 that the Umayyad Caliphate's rule on the Iberian Peninsula was finally ended, preventing the Islamization of Western Europe. Undoubtedly, the Battle of Tours was the pivotal conflict that saved Western civilization from Islamic subjugation.